Hey guys, welcome back to the 19th hole. This week we're staying in Hawaii. Aloha, mahalo. We are doing the Sony Open at Waialae Country Club. This is a whole different ball game from last week at Kapalua. Stay tuned after this short intro for the 19th hole. Hey guys, welcome back. Aloha. Make sure you like and subscribe. I forgot to say that in the intro. We're off to a rip-roaring start. Conor, you got the Glencairn. I'm going full rocks. You're still on mute. He doesn't know what to do.
I'm just choking. We're both a mess, obviously. I just thought it was fitting to drink the bottle that I got from you for beating your ass in DFS last year to celebrate me beating your ass in DFS 1-for-1 this year.
It was pretty close this last week. I mean, some guy named Bo says we're a couple of hacks, but at least we're handsome.
I heard that guy has like a spice and hot sauce company or something.
Yeah, they're the best flavors you're going to find on the internet for a relatively good price. Our boy from Canada, Royal Slade from up there in the province of Alberta. And Dee Dee is back with us. She missed us. We love you, Dee Dee. Thank you. Cheers. Conor, what are we tipping back tonight? You got the Redbreast 15 that I sent you. It's delicious, isn't it?
It is delicious. I like to savor it. I'm going to have one of those, and then I will be switching to the old standby.
Silver Bullet. Rocky Mountain piss water.
The mountains aren't blue, really. I mean, they're sort of blue, but I don't even know if that's a thing anymore. I just drink them so fast, it doesn't matter.
Dee Dee likes us still, so we're doing good if Dee Dee still likes us. And then Green Screens Media must have something to do with the slick layout because they are complimenting our slick layout. It is nice. It looks really a lot better than it did in years past. Not to say it was bad, but it looks slick. You're right, Green Screens Media. Shout out to them. And
I love the turf at the bottom.
Me too. And there's a little T there with the in between the lighthouse, the water tower is on a T. Is that perfect or what?
Yeah, I'm loving it. I feel very professional right now.
Dee Dee is also tipping back the silver bullets. I put a little bit or a lot of bit of Buffalo Trace and a lot of bit of Coke. So
you got to get that Coke.
Yahtzee.
Got to get that Coke out of there.
Yeah. Yahtzee.
Oh, how was your week? How was your week last week, Bo?
I was defiantly sharp, not definitely sharp, defiantly sharp. We were pretty sharp last week. We didn't hit the outright, but we had some good bets. Some of the guys that we told you to fade did terribly. So you're welcome, guys. You're welcome for fading Scotty Scheffler and Victor Hovland because they all fell apart. Our guy, Ludwig Oberg, who is sporting some really short odds despite not really proving anything other than he's an exciting prospect, almost got dead last. That was another hit for me. A lot of top 10s that I hit ended up paying off and breaking me even for the week on the betting side. I did win some money on DFS, even though I did not prevail over one Conor Coughlin. Asshole.
Dude, how close were we on Thigala?
Oh right, man. When you said Thigala, I was like, I could see it. But unfortunately, Chris Kirk, who we're not on because he's a better fit for this week, unfortunately won the tournament with a hell of a Sunday. Props to Chris Kirk, friend of the show. Outstanding Sunday round. Really an outstanding weekend for Chris Kirk. And Thigala played well enough to win, but he just got beat one stroke. That's all it took. And we unfortunately lost your prop bet with the playoff because, well, Chris Kirk. Thanks, man. Dick.
We were so close on so many things, man.
I
It was
know.
almost a massive payday.
That's a great sign that we're already locked into the way these golfers are going to play. We're locked in. Let's take a look at, I believe we have a new little drop that started last week for caddy notes, so we can talk about this golf course, Waialae Country Club, long-standing golf course on the PGA Tour for the Sony Open. Let's tip it off here right here. So Seth, our fearless leader, loves the polo he sent me for Christmas. Love it. I also have the hat I wore last week. I wore this polo to work because I am required to wear a polo shirt at work, and I usually have to rush in for showtime right after work. So I wore the polo to work, didn't have to change before the show started. This is a win-win-win for me. Love the logo. The water tower reminds me of my hometown, except our water tower was like baby blue, like periwinkle blue.
All right, so you wore the hat last week. You wore the polo this week. I think I'm gonna rock the hat next week.
Okay.
I didn't want to show up like too uniform. So
we're blaming Eric Romoff for him being late tonight too, for Seth being late to the show. Thanks, Eric. Great job for keeping the leader from watching the better show on Tuesday nights. No offense to the football show after us, but the golf show is where the money's really made on the betting side. This show was up, I think, 300 units year to date last season. I did the math from my articles on the Betting Pros side. All the same guys I'm touting on the shows that I do, including this one, is the big long show we do our golf betting. Conor, tell us about Waialae Country Club, because it's a very unique course.
Yes, sir. Sony Open at Waialae Country Club in Honolulu, Hawaii. We're par 70, about 70-44 on the yardage. Fairways are Bermuda. We're going to be a hell of a lot narrower than we were at Kapalua.
It's a short king.
Definitely a short walk. Second shot course, much like last week, but a little more amplified here. Definitely looking at very well-rounded approach. So looking at multiple different buckets on that approach metric. I know that there's been some, some tactics in growing the rough up here. It's affected the scoring a little bit, but to be honest, even missing the fairway here is not super penalizing.
Let's get behind a tree.
Yeah, and that's maybe one of the bigger differences too, is you do have a fair amount of trees lining the fairways here. But yeah, the greens are, like I said, Bermuda, going into smaller than average to tour standard greens. Also Bermuda complexes. We're going to see significantly more people missing the greens this week, just given the massive reduction in size from the previous week. I know that there's differing opinions on it. The weather does come into play here. For the most part, it's going to be similarly tame to last week. There are going to be some gusts on a couple of the days. Could be approaching 20 miles an hour. What's nice about this course is there are parts of it that are fairly well protected, depending on the way the wind's blowing, given the tree lineage and some of the adjacent buildings and such. So we do get a little bit more protection on at least part of the course than we did last week. So if the wind kicks up, a little more saving grace there. I would say that this is going to be somewhere in the neighborhood of 21 under still. Even if the wind does kick up, I'd say the cut's going to be somewhere around 3 or 4 under. We've got our previous winners were Siwoo last year at 18 under, Hideki the year before at 23 under, Kevin Na at 21 under, and then Cam Smith year before at 11 under, which was a pretty rough season. As Bo alluded to, I think the tournament's been held here since the early 60s, if I remember right. So long standing loop on the roto. So I think that's about.
I love this course. I used to play the Nintendo 64 game, which was called Waialae Country Club Golf. You only had one player, and only course was Waialae Country Club. It was a specially designed game for this course, and it's still the same course as it was back then. They've rearranged some of the hole layouts, and it's a par 70 now instead of par 72 that was 2 decades ago when that game was very popular. I played that game for hours and hours and hours every day. I know this course like the back of my hand. Very, very important to have a good short game here. And par 4 scoring, especially since they switched to par 70 here, is paramount. Strokes gained par 4, par 4 birdie or better average. Because there are 10 par 4s that are all pretty challenging. The par 3s are kind of long. The par 5s are gettable, but there's only a couple of them. I love going after only 2, and they're gettable though, and they're where the scoring is mostly going to happen. But the guys that can hit the good approach shots, stay out of trouble around the greens, and make timely putts, of course. But less important on the putting this week than last week, and a lot more important around the greens than last week. And the approach distances, of course, are different than last week because the course is so much shorter. I agree with you, Connor. I think a different type of golfer wins this week. Even Chris Kirk was a surprise last week. We were both surprised by that because he was more of a Waialae guy more than a Kapalua guy. He's played Waialae outstanding his entire career. So he'll be in the mix here, but we want to focus on ignoring driving distance altogether. It has no correlation here whatsoever. This is going to be finding the fairway, or at least getting yourself in position to hit an approach into some of these pins on smaller greens. And if you miss the green, being able to get up and down without making bogeys, because making bogeys on a course where you're probably going to look at 20 under par as the winning score. Yeah, it's going to be important. Par 4s are absolutely brutal here. They can be, especially if the wind is up. That's something we have to pay attention to. And getting into the betting side of it, I expect a long shot winner this week, honestly. And I'm pleasantly surprised by some of the long odds on some of my favorite guys here. This is an opportunity to win a lot of money and to get off to a flaming start with the bankroll snowballing. That's going to be really important too. Would you agree with that, Connor?
Yes. I don't know if I agree wholeheartedly that a long shot wins. I think somebody in the probably 20-1 to 35, maybe getting into the 50-1 area. So, I mean, I guess if we're going to call that a long shot, somebody who's not an immediate favorite, I guess, is what I would say is probably going to win here.
Yeah, and that's where I'm at. This is a classic tournament. Waialae Country Club is pretty awesome. For how small it is, it's a pretty decent course. That's why it stood the test of time on the PGA Tour. The field is a little weaker than last week, no doubt. But I have a lot of fun watching this tournament because I've played so many video games of this tournament. I don't know what it is about the video game from my childhood. It comes into play every time I think about the Sony Open. I can't stop thinking about playing that game for so many hours when I was a teenager.
I believe it or not, never played that game. As a matter of fact, I skipped most golf games. I have a moderate to substantial golden tee addiction nowadays.
But you're actually good at that game. That game's hard as hell.
That game ain't easy, but yeah, I mean, I think a couple of things with this course is, we both kind of hit on it a little bit, but it does have some teeth, and it doesn't maybe have apparent teeth, but you can get yourself in kind of a downward spiral. You start missing greens, start getting a little bit off track, setting up for your second shots. You can have a bad time here, and then you compound that if the weather does kick up a little bit, or like I just said, if you're not looking so hot on your second shot, if you're out in the trees, or if you're in the rough consistently, like there's some subtle things that can get you off track here. I think though it's a short course, it's a pretty strategic course, and it really does require that you're good from all different approach ranges. And I mean, the two that I focused on really were that kind of 100 to 125, and then about the 175 to 210 ranges. Were the two that I really focused on. Seems like the majority of I guess, strategic landing spots off the tee are going to put you in those ranges. So definitely took a lot of looks at that. And then, like Bo said, par 4 scoring is paramount here. So that's definitely something that I took a lot of time on as well. Specifically looking at like the 450-ish range on where guys excel in that range on par 5s or par 4s rather. I don't think putting is as important, but what's interesting is I was building out like some modeling and stuff, trying to get a feel for who's going to be good on this course. That a lot of the winners recently have been on fire with the flat stick. So it's kind of tough to narrow down who's going to have the hot hand this week. I mean, if you look at Chris Kirk last week, gained almost 11 strokes on the putting green. So that's not sustainable, but the rest of his game, like Bo said, does set up pretty well for here. So, I mean, if his putter comes back down to earth a little bit, I think we're still looking at somebody who's in contention.
And I believe last year we were on both Siwoo Kim and Hayden Buckley, who Hayden Buckley had the lead up until the very end. Siwoo had a crazy last couple holes to come from behind and win. But we both cashed top 5 and outright bets, and we were going to either way. Whether it was Buckley or Siwoo, we were going to win last year. And that's where we hang our hat, is like this is the type of course where we're both like really honed in on the type of player we're looking for. And as you're going to find out in a couple seconds here with Club Twirls, we're betting on some really, really nice odds on some of these guys. And we agree on a lot of these guys. That's why I'm excited to touch on this with you. Let's hit the drop. Club Twirls. Twirl those clubs, Connor. Once again, we're looking at DraftKings Sportsbook here, and the outright favorite to win is Ludwig Åberg. Great golfer. Better fit this week than he was last week, in my opinion, but still much too short for my liking. Like, what is going on with these odds? I understand that the books are considering how much money's coming in on Ludwig Åberg because he's such a great golfer. We saw it last year. He won $3 million in his rookie season. He's an outstanding player, but he wins. And this is a tournament where first-timers don't do well. And this is the type of tournament where we're looking for somebody who's seen this course before, who can plan their way around. It's a very similar course to Pebble Beach. It's a very similar course to TPC Sawgrass, where it's a planner's course. It's not necessarily a ball striker's course, although we're looking for that. It's who can decide where they're going to land every shot. And because the trade winds can kick up and probably will kick up, knowing where your landing spots are going to be and taking less than driver off the tee as a rule here is kind of the way to win. We saw it from Siwoo last year. We saw it from Hayden Buckley last year. We've seen it all the way through the years. Hideki Matsuyama is great off the tee with an iron, and that's why he's had so much success here. But what are your thoughts on Ludwig coming in as a 12-1 favorite here?
It's funny, and I mean, it's not funny, but it's interesting because I think a lot of people share a similar sentiment to what you do, in that this is a better fit for him. And I actually thought last week was a better fit for him, because the big red flags for me around Åberg are predominantly that approach game. Like, we had a little 4-week spike, right, where he was gaining strokes, but last week, as I think has reared its ugly head again, he lost almost 3 strokes on approach, and
yikes,
that was on much, much, much bigger green complexes. He also lost almost 3 strokes off the tee last week on wide open spaces,
which is weird.
And in transparency, like, as you look at his stats, like, he really never does lose strokes off the tee, so that may come back a little bit this week, but that approach thing, I'm telling you, is going to be his Achilles heel. He's not as dialed in as he needs to be. And I think that's going to come with experience. And getting back to what you said, Bo, I think a first timer here that struggles on the second shot is probably not going to be a guy that I'm lining up to bet here.
Especially not as the outright favorite with a guy who's never won anywhere on the PGA Tour. I understand he was a rookie last year, but we want to see more from him before we start placing bets under 15 to 1 or under 20 to 1. He hasn't earned that right yet. And for him to be in a loaded field last week as one of the favorites, that was an easy fade for me. This week's a little tougher fade, but his odds are even shorter this week than they were last week, despite him playing so poorly. I love the player. I think he's got an extremely bright future ahead of him. But this is not where you hit up on Ludwig Oberg. Wait till Riviera when he's not a betting favorite and all the big guns are going to be at Riviera. That's where I'm going to be betting Ludwig, is that 25 to 30 to 1 on a course that's tough, where his robot-like consistency kind of comes into play. That's where I'm going to start playing him. This week is just too soon for me. Where do you start your outright betting? Is it not far behind him? Because I'm not that far behind him.
No, it's immediately behind him. As a matter of fact, it's Russell Henley and Brian Harman for me.
Thank you.
Way more Brian Harman than Henley, but I think at the end of the week, both will end up on the card. Right now, it's just Harman, but I'm definitely right there with Henley and with Brian Harman. I mean, everything just makes sense here. Accurate off the tee, accurate on approach, great wind player. Control from all the main approach distances that we're looking for. His putter has been
20 to 1, 20 to 1, and he impressed last week when neither one of us thought he had any chance on a course that long, but he was so hot with the putter. He made up for it, and that, like last week was a putting contest. We should have known that he was going to hold his own, because as long as you can putt well, you can hang around at Kapalua. Here, the rest of his game really comes into play here, where he's such a good ball striker, especially with the shorter approach distances. Par 4 scoring is his forte. That's why he did so well in the major last year at the Open Championship. Very similar setup here to last year's Open Championship venue, where it's target golf. And this is exactly what Harman's looking for. And a lot of people are betting up Tyrrell Hatton, who played extremely well last week too. Matt Fitzpatrick. Those are fine and dandy, but for me, I'm looking at all the stats and all the recent form. Recent form is the tiebreaker here, and a little bit more bang for your buck on the betting side. And I don't think there's any better player in this field from tee to green than Russell Henley. Not as good in the short game as Harman, but as far as iron play is concerned, as far as accuracy off the tee is concerned, I'm with you on Henley, but I'm a little bit more of an even split on those two guys. We're both starting our cards with 20 to 1, Harman and Henley. They're a perfect fit here, and it's kind of sandwiched between the people who are getting a little bit shorter odds as we go along here. Fitzpatrick and Hatton, along with Corey Connors, are picking up a lot of steam on the betting side. Connors' odds have already shrunk to 22 to 1. Chris Kirk has gone from 30 to 22. I predicted that yesterday. I was like, get him at 30 while you can, because it's not going to last. We're already seeing that, but I'm very comfortable with Harman and Henley here, especially at their odds.
Yeah, those are the two in this range that really stand out to me. Chris Kirk, I think Kirk's going to compete and play well again this week. I think the thing that stood out to me last week was you're not going to continue to pace at 11 strokes gained putting. Like that's not
and on this course, it's not sustainable anyway. Like you're not going to see that many 15-foot birdie putts on this course. You're going to see 25 footers, and then you're going to see, I stuck it close and I have an easy birdie.
And with that being said, like some of the statistics in terms of opportunity and proximity with Chris Kirk, just over the history or over the course of the last 12 months, those are some stats that are sometimes a little off for him. So not taking anything away from him, not taking anything away from the fact that he, does fit the course fairly decently. I just think that going back to back, and especially needing, even based on last week, needing to have that hot a putter, I think that 22 on Chris Kirk is awfully short.
And that I was telling Pat Fitzmaurice yesterday, is that I'm betting him at 30, I'm betting him at 25, but if he slips inside of 25, I'm out, because that's where he goes from a good bet to an iffy one. Chris Kirk is a very good golfer, but he's not a 22-1 golfer.
No, I don't think so either. And I think there is a guy right here that I know you're probably going to disagree on, but I don't care that his odds are short, and that's Eric Cole. Eric Cole, for me,
I am not disagreeing with you on Eric Cole. I love Eric Cole.
What's wild is he's already slipped 3 points since this morning. I had him at 28, which thankfully we got, but he's already down to 25. And I'll say this: in every stat model I ran today, Eric Cole is number one, and it wasn't even close. So I think that this is a lock and load Eric Cole, and really that's probably as far as investment goes, I'm pretty heavy on Cole. I really like how he sets up. I love the form he's in. Just everything is screaming Eric Cole season.
We need to address the elephant in the room here. A lot of very quote unquote sharp people in the golf industry are touting Corey Connors this week. His past success here is okay. Like, he's been decent here. A few top 10s, a couple top 5s. His short game is so bad that if you're betting on Corey Connors to win this tournament, don't. Just avoid him, because he's been steamed up already to 22-1, and you have to have a short game here. You have to be able to chip and putt here. Even though putting's not as important, chipping is. Corey Connors chipping and putting, both abysmal. Like, we're talking bottom rung on both of those stats for Corey Connors, and he's not going to win here. Yeah, is it okay to bet him top 10? Sure. I think he makes top 10. I don't think he wins this tournament.
Oh, you are more optimistic than I am, man.
Really? Yeah, that chipping and putting really drags him down. When you wait, especially strokes gained around the green like I did, which is 15% of my weighted model. He was, I think, 101st out of 150. That's not good. I like Hadwin more than Conor. Hey, Canadians know they're Canadians, right?
I don't know, man. I'm not a Corey Connors Kool-Aid drinker. I'm sorry. Like, if he
we're not, neither one of us are.
Like, dude,
I can't do it.
I can't do it either. There's just so much suspect about his game. There's so much like inconsistency across the board with him.
Here's a book critique for you.
There's way better ways to spend your money. And I will tell you this: if Corey Connors is a guy that sticks it to you, like, I mean, take your medicine. The likelihood of it, I think, is pretty slim here. I don't see it.
And there's a couple of guys here that were great fits last week that we both hit on last week, that you hit on mostly, but I agreed with you. They're both sitting at 30-1 here at Sony Open. I think they're complete fades for this golf course. Ben On and Sahith Theegala. No chance I'm betting either one of those guys to be anywhere close to making the cut this week. I think both of those guys missed the cut at the Sony Open. At 30-1, those two guys both played extremely well last week. They were great fits for Kapalua. They are horrendous fits for the Sony Open at Waialae Country Club. So agree with me there on Theegala and On?
More Theegala than On. On can get super hot on approach. The problem with Theegala is he kind of did exactly what we thought he needed to do, is keep it together for 4 rounds. And I think there was a lot less pressure.
He should have won, though. He should have won.
He should have won. I don't disagree with that. But I think that he has established in my mind that these are the types of courses he's going to do well at. The courses that really de-emphasize accuracy and just let him knock it close, sink his putt, and move on to the next hole. Anytime that you start talking strategic, like second shot positioning, anytime you talk about accuracy off the tee or on a narrower approach, Theegala to me just isn't there yet. Do I think he can get there? Absolutely. I think
he's got all crazy talent,
but he's not there right now. And frankly,
he's not that type of golfer.
And frankly, like, we skipped right over him, but dude, JT Poston is playing excellent golf right now, and 28-1. I mean,
speaking of short game,
and I know you like Poston too. So if you want to talk about him, you definitely can. But I would invest in Poston long before I'd think about Theegala.
He's accurate off the tee. I think his approach game needs a little bit more work, but as far as short game goes, like I trust him wholeheartedly around these greens. Even if he's a little bit off on approach, he's not going to make a bunch of bogeys and knock himself out of this. So he's a lock to make the cut, and I think that he can make a push if he starts getting hot. That's if his approach game allows him to get close enough to these pins, then we could hear some noise from JT Poston. The Postman delivers on courses like this.
Truth. Who got? We already touched on Adam Hadwin. That's who I've got in the 50s.
Let's not skip over our defending champ here. Somehow at 35-1, Siwoo Kim. How is that possible? That the defending champion of the event is 35-1.
I didn't talk about him because I, in a lot of ways, think it was a bit of a fluke. Like, I don't think that this sets up tremendously well for Siwoo.
I disagree.
I mean, I let you. I'm not going to wholeheartedly disagree. So you can definitely let us know why you're on him. There are spots I like Siwoo. This isn't going to be one of them, regardless of history.
What he showed me last year was that his accuracy off the tee is a weapon for him. And he's top 5 when it comes to off the tee accuracy, especially when it's courses of this length. That's what he showed last year. He's like, I'm going to hit 2 iron off every tee. I'm going to put myself in position to hit approach shots. He's another guy like Poston where, yeah, the approach game is not always great, but man, when he gets hot, it's unbelievable. And he's got a lot of good Kool-Aid at this place now. He won over $1 million last year on this course. This guy is a winner. And if I'm going to bet an outright, I'm going to look at a 35-1 for a guy who just won this tournament last year and in pretty dramatic fashion. This for me, there's a lot worse bets you can make in that range. Even a top 5 is 8-1, a top 10 is 3.5-1. This guy is just too cheap. It's too much of a nice green flag for me for a guy that played so well here and has really over the years been pretty good at Waialae Country Club.
If you want my hottest take of the week, I can see him missing the cut here.
Ooh, that's a good one. I smell a side bet.
He has not been performing very well off the tee as of late. His approach game has been super suspect, and what was once a hot putter about mid to late last season has cooled off dramatically. Like, I don't know. I want to believe in Siwoo. I enjoy watching Siwoo, but I can see him slamming the old trunk too. I think it's a really volatile bet.
Well, there's a guy here sitting at 60-1 that was 50-1 yesterday that I think could absolutely win this tournament, and that's Akshay Bhatia. And I know you disagree with me on this one, but as far as approach distances go and par 4 scoring goes, this course sets up a lot like Old Greenwood up here in Lake Tahoe, where he won last year. Very, very similar layout, very similar wind patterns, same length, of course, same size greens. He's got a hot broomstick putter style now, where his weakness last year was making putts and in getting up and down. He's not having that problem. Last week he was on fire with the putter, and his wedge game coming into greens, especially small ones, is spectacular. I think if you put a 2 iron in his hand or a fairway metal off the tee, like, I don't trust him with a driver in his hand, honestly. Like, the wide fairways last week were really nice for us to bet that. This week, he's not going to have to hit driver very often at all. This is the course where I trust him more because he won't be able to pull the big dog out of the bag that often and screw himself like he has on certain courses that demand distance and accuracy. This course sets up really well for Akshay, especially with how hot he's been playing. We're talking about a mega talented golfer, super young, but that winning feeling that he got one under his belt last year in Tahoe. I just love the guy. I think 60-1 is an insult. 50-1 yesterday, where I got him at first, was crazy enough for me to bet it, and now it's even better. So I'm going to keep piling on with Bhatia. 60-1. It seems insane to me with how well he's playing.
I'm gonna let you ride with that. I'm like, yeah. Hey, he's in a similar situation to what we said last week with the gala, right? If Akshay can keep it together 4 rounds, execute all aspects of his game like he's capable of, 100% he could win here. But I think that last week, again, he's another guy like Kirk gaining 6 strokes putting. To me, especially given his track record, is not a sustainable practice. And so he's going to have to find those strokes somewhere else on a
I
narrow.
want to believe in the broomstick.
Dude, I'm with you. Young dude, young guy, right? He's got the tools. He just needs to hone his craft a little bit more. He's going to make a ton of noise on the tour. And
Did you see his post today?
No, God, is it going to?
Him and his wife were doing their tour laundry at the laundromat in Oahu.
They're kind of a cool couple too. They're like a
They're
decent
the greatest.
on social media.
They're both so nice. When I met them at the tournament last year, it was great because they're both super nice people and big fans of one another. That's why I think they're going to be great for a long, long time on tour. Just because she knows a lot about the game herself. She follows him all the way through the course, every round. And I just think that what he has going right now for him is pretty much course proof, especially if he keeps playing like he did last week.
You and I are going to have to agree to disagree right this sec on him. I mean, I don't.
How did Luke List do for you last week, by the way?
Pretty decent, man. Like honestly, for my purposes, he was pretty all right.
Did you see his first round? He was 11th in strokes gained putting. It didn't hold, but it was pretty interesting to see Thursday, the first couple holes he was number 1 in putting, and then he finished Thursday as 11th in putting. But yeah,
it's gonna be the story with List all season, right? Is like if he's flat putting for the week, he'll be in contention. Yeah. But no, I'll keep throwing a couple of bucks at List every week. I'm coming around as almost a borderline believer on List, but
Yeesh, I can't do it.
I would say when you talk short, kind of moving on a little bit, when you talk short courses, approach focused, JJ Spawn is somebody that we don't get a lot of chances to bet, and 76 to 1 on a guy who can be dangerously accurate on approach, and can have a pretty solid putting stroke from time to time. 76 to 1. I really like the approach game with Spawn. I think that there are dumber things to do with money. He has one.
Where are you getting that line?
I had 76 to 1 on DK. What's he at now?
60.
So apparently I'm not the only one that thinks it's a good idea, because I wrote that article this morning.
He's an automatic cut maker. Like, he's made like 90% of his cuts over the last year and a half. Unfortunately, it hasn't translated too much into high finishes. He's very, very live to make the cut, which if you're looking at 60 to 1, even his top 20 line is nice. His cut making line is very nice. That might be something I look into, but an outright or a top 5 or top 10, I'm not interested in JJ Spawn. Honestly.
That is wild, though. Literally wrote that column this morning and he was at 76.
Well,
unless I typoed. I could have typoed my notes.
You shouldn't have written it, because obviously it's catching a lot of steam from you writing about him.
Oh yeah, straight up. I'm swaying the masses. What's probably more likely is that I had
keep your platform suppressed until the show, man.
God, we need faster fact checkers. We should tell the boss that. My next one is pretty deep. You're gonna hate it, so I'll let you go with your next one.
All right, so I go pretty deep myself here because I think it's just a misprice. Like, what is going on with this? We're looking at, Rio Hitsasune is probably your next one, isn't it?
Sure is.
I thought so. Yeah, mine's a little deeper, so I actually will give you Rio. Go ahead.
Oh, well, I was trying to pull up the link to my article for the chat, but let's go. Let me dive back over here, get my stuff pulled up. So I think what's interesting with Rio, just something to think about. He's 74th in the world golf rankings right now. He has a win last season, has a 3rd place, and he has 8 top 10s. Is very accurate off the tee, bombs the hell out of the ball, averages about 316 yards. Neither of those stats necessarily mean a lot here. But what is nice about him is he does have a very decent approach game, can get pretty hot with the putter from time to time. We've got a limited sample on PGA Tour, but at 110, this is like a truly talented player from the DP World Tour, and we're going to see him quite a bit. So I think when
we're
you
going to
compare
talk about him quite a bit too. We're going to talk about him a lot this year.
Well, and you and I already have talked about him quite a bit. So I think that this is a really good number on something that's kind of sneaky under the radar. He has a similar killer edge the way that some of these other guys do. Like, he knows how to compete. So this is not going to be just some am rolling up to his first tournament. Like, this guy is the real deal, and he's pretty long in comparison to where he probably should be.
Yeah, my two last ones are both at 150 to 1. Dylan, the 5 greatest rappers in the world. Dylan Wu, 150 to 1 is just a misprice. Yeah, Dylon, and Dylon. Mispriced. 150 to 1 is an insult for how well he played last season as a rookie on the PGA Tour. One of the most consistent players last year on the entire tour. I'm not saying bet a lot outright. At 150 to 1, throw a couple bucks on him. Top 20 bet? Hell yeah. Let's go, Dylan Wu. Let's make us some money. If you're getting 4 to 5 to 1 to pay out a top 20 on a guy that consistent, that's easy money this week because his game fits this course like a glove. It's an insult to his form all of last season for him to be at that line. And then last year's runner-up should have won, Hayden Buckley, scuffling lately, but this course fits him like a glove too. And if he could score better than par on Fridays, he'd be the best scoring golfer in the world. We established that last year. There's Conor's article. But Hayden Buckley, 150 to 1. He got second place last year here. What the hell's going on? Top 10, top 20. Get me all the Hayden Buckley at that line. It just doesn't make any damn sense, Conor.
So I don't like him for the outright, but I'll tell you what I do love is I love him for first round leader. If we know one thing about Hayden Buckley,
yeah. Thursday scoring average was 67 last year.
And dude, there was I'm going to double check it now. Now, apparently there's been all kinds of movement today, but this afternoon when I wrote the column, he was 100 to 1 first round leader.
I'm looking at it right now here. I think it still is. Hitsasune, first round leaders, 90 to 1.
Also have that one and written up as well. Dude,
110 to 1. 110 to 1 for Hayden Buckley, first round leader.
Yeah, I freaking love that. To win the tournament, no. First round leader, no. I like that. And if we're at that point too, what's wild is if it's held up. Brian Harman 35 to 1 first round leader, and Eric Cole 45 to 1 first round leader.
Russell Henley 40.
Yeah, there's some really tasty first round leader numbers.
Bangers out here. Akshay Bhatia 60 to 1. I know you hate that one, but yeah, the first round prop bets are going to be some low investment, high yield investments to make in this tournament. Conor, you've given us a lot to think about.
Top 5 finish parlay, Poston and Cole 75 to 1.
Whew. Yeah, let's make some damn money.
There's some numbers out here, man. Spend some time. Spend some time in the books.
Yeah, even Didi's on board. All right, I got to pull up this. Yeah, hide that one. We got to go to the drop for no trunk slams. Are you ready for some DFS, Conor?
Dude, you and I are having too much fun tonight. I just looked at the clock. I'm like, holy cow. All right.
The club as well. This would be a wrestling class.
All right, we're looking at some crazy pricing in the DFS markets here. DK is giving us everything we want to build the lineup we want, and they're not going to do anything about it. Like, I can build a lineup with all the guys I love, and there's still money left on the table here, which is perfectly fine. If you've watched the show before, DFS is not about meeting the salary cap. It's about building your best lineup under the salary cap. Doesn't matter how far under, as long as you're under the cap. Play the best plays, especially if they're leveraged. We have plenty of leverage to pick from at the top of this board, especially since we're fading some of the most expensive guys. Conor, where are you starting your lineups here?
It's going to be no surprise, but I'm going to be starting at Harman and Cole.
Harman and Cole, both under 10K. Easy fades with Ludwig Oberg. I think Hatton and Fitz are good for making the pool, but maybe not at their ownership. They're super high owned. Sahith Theegala is a fade for me, completely at 10K. I'm starting with Harman, Cole, and you can go all the way down and find Russell Henley there at 9,600. What is going on here? DraftKings has just given us all this money.
I think I am of the opinion that DK is seeing it kind of similar to how we are. That there's, thanks, Didi. I think they're seeing it similar to how we are. There's a lot of like well-balanced guys right in the middle that all have the potential to go off here and fit the course well. So I don't know that I necessarily think anything is necessarily mispriced. As a matter of fact, if you look at Aubert, even 10.5 actually seems pretty reasonable for the caliber that he is. So I don't know. I mean, from that 10.5 all the way down to like, I mean, it's even into the low sevens, man. There's just value across the board here, and there's a lot of guys that fit what we're looking for. So
you'd love to see it.
I don't know if that answers your question, but I mean, that's definitely what I'm seeing. There's a lot of balance. I think it's hard to price.
It is, but I think it's one of the easier slates we're going to have building a lineup, which is nice. I think the fades are easy. Corey Conor is a full fade for me. Will Zalatoris, unfortunately, haven't seen him play well since he came back from back surgery. Played awful in his first appearance back. Let's give him some time. He's got lots of talent. I want to see something from Will coming back from the back surgery before we start putting money on him. Even in DFS, 9,300, easy fade. JT posted 9,100, great play. Hideki's had great success here, 9K. A little chalky for my liking, but still a good play. Ben on for me, easy fade. Siwoo Kim, 8,600. Mispriced, even though you disagree.
I don't know if I necessarily think that I disagree in DFS. I think there's some Siwoo. It's like I said, I could see Siwoo doing really well. I could see Siwoo trunk slamming. I mean, I'm very, very split. And that's the problem with Siwoo. I don't care how good a form he was in last year, is he has that volatility. He very easily can miss a cut for you. He could very easily go out and win the tournament.
He's pretty streaky. Streaky. The gambler's best friend. Harris English, lot of past success here.
Big fan of Harris English, especially in DK. He's somebody who, when he gets hot, he scores a lot of points. Good success here. I think that's a great play.
Jaeger bombs? Nah.
I got some interest in Jaeger bombs. Not a ton. A lineup here or there.
He's not as good of a play as Adam Hadwin here. Like, Adam Hadwin is a glaring green flag. I mean, he scores a shit ton of DK points.
What are you doing with Alexander Noren right there? Because I'm going to guess he rated out okay for you too.
He did, but he's a stat guy. He's never a finish guy. Every time you run a stat model on a course like this, Alex Noren goes right to the top like cream. Unfortunately, when you play him at a course where he should do well, he doesn't. Alex Noren is an enigma for DFS players and bettors alike. He's a really good golfer if you look at strokes gained, everything. But again, it's what have you done to make us money? Alex Noren has made us no money over the years. So no, I don't think so. Not in the price range he's at, where I'd rather have Hadwin. I'd rather have the Todd father. I'd rather have Jaeger. I'd rather have Keegan. I'd rather have Lucas Glover. Who knows? Like, this is a course where Noren should do well, but he's also pretty chalky because everybody's stat model puts him right in the top 10.
Well, and the guy you hit on that I think I have a ton of interest in, and I think he's going to end up being pretty low owned, is Lucas Glover. Number 1 over the last 36 rounds on approach. Number 10 in this field for fairway accuracy. And quite frankly, I mean, I still think he's one of the hottest players going right now. I mean, he had one hell of a run. And I think we're going to see some down weeks from him, but that approach game is nothing to laugh at. So I think 7,700 on Lucas Glover seems like a pretty good deal
I think so.
in this field. And then JJ Spawn right there at 7,600. Rated out 6 in the field for me. He's number 3 in accuracy and opportunity gained. He's number 10 in overall approach. So, I mean,
all right. So trunk slamming wise, you can trust JJ Spawn, but I like another guy who never misses cuts, who's going to score more DraftKings points, and that's Justin Suh.
Man, I thought you were going to say Ben Griffin.
Fuck no. Ben Griffin doesn't score any points. He doesn't miss cuts either, but he never gets the top 20s either. Justin Suh, on a course like this, he played well at Old Greenwood up in Tahoe as well. NorCal guy, shout out. Justin Suh, for me, is your JJ Spawn with more upside on DraftKings. That's who I'm looking for. Is a guy who can make the cut, avoid the trunk slam, get your 6 out of 6 lineup or your 5 out of 6 lineup, and get a little like 5 to 10 more DK points than JJ Spawn, in my opinion. And a little kicker is that he's a little bit cheaper even.
I'm going to be all over Justin Suh at certain places. I'm not there this week, to be honest. It's Ben Griffin and Ben Griffin, JJ Spawn, and Lucas Glover for me in this range. I'll have some.
Enjoy your 80 points and nothing more.
I mean, we'll see what happens. Enjoy. I mean, that may be all I need the way that I'm building this week, though. That is. I mean, Ben
there's
Griffin,
a lot to be said for lineup construction, and you might have a point there.
So 80 points out of the last guy in, and he might make the cut or will make the cut. Like that's a pretty solid deal at 7,400.
So when can we get some respect for Kurt Kitayama, because he was outstanding last week? I don't know about the fit with this course at all, but I mean, we can tell he's definitely a quality golfer that's still top 30 in the world.
Your boy can't putt, man.
Yeah, he struggled. He made a lot of birdies last week. He had 2 rounds at 65 last week, where his putting was good. His approach game was so much better. Like that was I was harping on last week with betting on him with top 10s and top 20s was his long iron approach game is so good that like he separates himself. So as good as I think with the approach distances, we see some appeal here, especially since he's long enough to take 2 iron off most of these tees, take that erratic off the tee behavior out of play. I think that he can overcome bad putting with just good approach game that he has. His around the green game is really solid too. I just think he's mispriced. I mean, we're talking about a top 30 golfer in the world rankings at $7,300. What the hell's going on?
Yeah, I mean, I'll agree with you on that for sure. I'm
thinking GPP. I'm like in a head-to-head. I'm not going to play him against you because I mean he could very well miss the cut, but he could also very well win this thing because he's that caliber of a player.
Dude, I hope one year at this course Kitayama's playing and we have like 30-mile-an-hour winds and it's rainy and shitty,
and he's gonna just like dial it in, like
he's just gonna grind it out.
Hey, if those trade winds kick up on Thursday like they're predicting, we might see a first-round leader from Kitty.
I'm always pulling for it. I can't wait till we get to talk to him live one of these days. I mean,
he's going to be on the show this year. I'm going to make it happen.
I'm excited for him. I think there's so many things to like about his game. I just right this second, like, yeah, to your point, good GPP play. I mean, I'll have him in maybe sub 5% of rosters, and which is all you really need to be over the field with him. So,
yep.
Let's see. I got to call it out again just so people get the name. It's Ryo Hitsutsune. Definitely play down there at 7,100.
What a deal. What a deal.
That's a stupid value. Stupid value.
You realize our influence is going to make him chalky, right?
Just highest rostered player on the whole slate.
God, I hate you. I hate when that happens too, because it does happen. SH Kim, Seyoung Kim, 7K flat lines up well here, especially for the price. Again, we're not talking about these guys being the cornerstone of a crazy good lineup. We're talking about crazy values where you're gonna make some money on them, and you need a good points per dollar value. Guys that can make the cut more often than not. He's more volatile down there as a guy who is either going to do really well or completely fizzle out. More of a GPP play for me. How's Bobby Mack look for you? Because I think that's an appealing one, 6,900. It seems a little weird that he's down there.
Yeah, it does seem a little weird to me that he's down there. I mean, he didn't like really spike for me or anything. My issue is in that range. There just are a few guys that I like better. I'll take Mark Hubbard. 7 flat. I think he's possibly a misprice in comparison to some of the other guys. I really have some interest in a little bit of Ben Coles, who's had an excellent approach game, excellent from the longer iron proximities, has a very consistent kind of average game, kind of through the middle of all the stats that we ran. So he's not going to get you in a whole lot of trouble. And the other guy that I know you're going to roast me for, but you can't deny that we're having a winter resurgence, Ryan Moore at 6,700.
He plays well here.
He's number 5 over the last 36 in approach. He's Number 6 in strokes gained par4 scoring over the last 36. And he's not red in a single category I looked at. I mean,
excellent.
So nobody's going to play Ryan Moore. And
you're the guy that usually plays these obscure guys from the DP World Tour and maybe the Corn Ferry Tour. I got one for you. Jake Knapp, Knapp, is going to make some noise here this week.
We played Jake Knapp tail end of last year on something.
I know, but for whatever reason, Jake Knapp just pops up for me at 6,700. That's going to be one of those deep shots I take, along with your guy Camilo Villegas, who unbelievably is making a career resurgence, and nobody's talking about it. He won a couple tournaments ago. He made some noise last week because he made every single putt on Thursday. First round leader, Camilo Villegas, 6,500. What the hell's going on? This guy's red hot.
Yeah, I can't fight you on anything there. You did mention some DP World Tour. You got any love for Matty Schmid or Paven or
Matty's going to be one I play at the Amex next week if he's in the field, because Matty's a bomber. Matty loves to hit the ball.
Your boy Buckley's down here. Are you going to roster Buckley, or are we just betting Buckley this week?
Oh no, Buckley's a perfect DFS play. That guy's streaky as all hell. So yeah, in a cash game, Buckley probably not, but as a guy who could completely outplay his price range, yes, definitely. How is he this far down? I don't understand how he's 150 to 1 and super cheap in DFS. It doesn't make any damn sense. He's 6,600. What the hell?
I mean,
so is Dylan Wu. Honestly, they're the same betting odds, the same price on DFS. They're both too good for that.
I think with Dylan and Brandon, and I really do think that they're interchangeable. Not the same guy, not the same skill set, but their performance
this week they are
interchangeable in that, they're another younger kind of player that never comes out and puts it all together. If you got 4 solid rounds out of either of them, they'd be competing. Yep. No doubt about it. Very, very solid golfer.
And Buckley is definitely in that boat with his Friday blues, and every other day of the week he's spectacular.
And I was just going to say, you are famously quoted all last season for pointing out that is almost 10 strokes worse on Fridays.
It's seven strokes worse on Friday. And he had the lowest scoring average on the tour on Thursday, Saturday, and Sunday. Better than Rahm, better than Scheffler, better than Rory. He was better than everybody if you take away Friday. That's the craziest stat ever.
I need to know what the hell is going on Thursday night. I say it every time, but I need to know.
Right?
Keep him off the bottle and out of the strip club and focus.
That dude needs just to stay in and order room service, for God's sake, Hayden, man.
Yeah, he's bellying up next to John Daly at the local Hooters or some shit. I don't know what he's doing, but it's not
Diet Coke and cigs all night long.
Just chain smoking packs of daily gambling and buying those. Smokes and hoes.
Seriously, but it worked for John. Big John can do it. I don't know if Hayden can.
It's demonstrating you can't. But yeah, I mean, in all honesty, we pretty much named the majority of the guys that I'm looking at in my player pool. I've got about a 23 player pool, and that's probably going to get whittled down to 21. Right now, I do have Aberg and Hatton in it, but I think I'm just going to avoid paying up for them because I don't think that they have more win equity than the people below them. So
it makes it easier to build lineups without them, honestly.
I just don't see it with Oberg this week. And so 10-5, I'll save.
And he's chalky. He's chalky too. It's not leveraged at all. You're gonna be playing with a bunch of other people.
Yeah, go down, start your lineup at Cole. I'm telling you, Brian Harman, Eric Cole, Russell Henley. It's a good place to start.
And I'll finish up with 2 long shots that will make my player pool barely. Kevin Yu, 6,300, really good ball striker.
You're gonna keep doing that, aren't you, until it comes to fruition?
Hey man, he's very live to miss the cut by a million. He's also really, really talented. So, and him along with Pearson Cootie, I mean, we saw him have success last year on courses like this, and he's down there at 6,300 as well.
Was he a Monday qualifier, or was it his brother that Monday qualified?
I believe they both were. Yeah, they're both in the field, but Pearson more talented than Parker. It's going to be interesting to see which one of them does better here. But Cootie Pearson Cootie had 4 top 10s in the last year, so this is the guy who can get hot and play well. And I don't know if he's not in the same tier as the other guys in that class of rookies, but he's got the ability to do that if he puts it together.
Yeah, I don't hate that. And you had some good success with him tail into last year too. So
yeah, top 20 bets with Pearson Cootie were easy money last year. All right, let's see what we got here. You got anything else for me? What's your winning score first?
I think it's in that 21 range. I'm
going to go with 19 just to be a little different. I think they continue to roll that rough out a little bit longer. I think the trade wins are up earlier in the week, which means that the cut line is going to be a little bit shorter. You're going to see some guys catch up. The guys that do make the cut are going to make up ground on the weekend. But I think that having a higher scoring cut is going to make for a final score that's a little bit worse than 20 under par. But yeah, I'm still in the same wavelength as you. This course is not that tough. It's just a unique little walk around the beach in Oahu. It's beautiful. And we're going to see I'm guaranteeing we're going to see a long shot winner, like more than 30-1 is going to win this tournament.
I disagree because my favorite of the week is going to be Eric Cole. I think Eric Cole is my favorite outright bet of the week.
He's pretty damn close. So he's only 22 or something like that. That's not bad.
Yeah, it's sliding. So if anybody agrees with me and you got access to a book, I'd go grab it before.
Do it. I love Eric Cole, but I'm going to say Akshay Bhatia wins the thing at 60-1. Crazy. I know. I'm a wild man.
Stronger stomach than me.
I just love the guy. I think he's awesome.
And then as far as first round leader, let's
go crazy, man. I think you're right.
I think it's Buckley.
That's a wild one. That's going to be wild. If we hit on that, like 110-1, that's money right there. 110, like put $5 on it. Who cares? Everybody's got $5 for a Starbucks.
Dude, he can fully do it. Like that's not even like a crazy bet. Like he can absolutely do it.
This dude can come out here, roll a 64 on Thursday, and then come out and shoot 77 on Friday. We don't give a damn at 110-1 payout on the first day of the tournament. We're sitting pretty. We're victory lapping. We're doing all the alarms going off if that happens. But I'm with you 100% on that. What do you say we do it again next week with the American Express in Palm Springs?
Yeah, I suppose I can see you then.
I hate that tournament, but it'll be fun because everybody's going to score well at that place. Cheers. Hey, join us next week in Between Media. Make sure you like this video, subscribe to the whole damn page, enjoy the in between. Peace.